Okay, let's talk about feelings. Those big, messy, wonderful, sometimes overwhelming things that make us human and that can make parenting feel like navigating a minefield in the dark sometimes. Think about this scenario. Your child is building a tower of blocks. They are concentrating really hard, their tongue sticking out a little bit, totally focused, and then crash. The tower tumbles and your child bursts into tears, maybe throws the blocks and yells, hate this. Or it's school picture day. You've laid out a nice outfit, but your child refuses to wear it, flat out refuses. You are running late, you are getting stressed, and they are just digging in their heels. It's frustrating, right? Or maybe it's the opposite. Your child gets a small prize at school and they are bouncing off the walls, screaming with excitement, running around the house, and you're just trying to get dinner on the table. These are all examples of big emotions, and as parents, we often find ourselves on the receiving end of these emotional explosions, feeling unsure how to react, what to say, or how to help. But here's the thing, understanding and managing emotions, that is emotional intelligence, is one of the most important life skills we can teach our children. It's not just about avoiding tantrums, although that's a nice bonus, it's about so much more. Kids with higher emotional intelligence tend to have better relationship with their peers and family. They do better in school. They are better as problem solving. They are more resilient in the face of challenges. They are just generally happier and more well adjusted. It's a skill that will serve them well throughout their entire lives. So how do we help our children develop this faster skill? It starts with building their emotional vocabulary. Think of it like this. If you are learning a new language, you need to learn the words, right? You can't express yourself fluently if you only know a few basic phrases. It's the same thing with emotions. Many children, especially younger ones, have a very limited emotional vocabulary. They might know happy, sad, and mad, but those are just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole world of emotions out there, and the more words our children have to describe their feelings, the better they can understand and communicate their experiences. So let's expand that vocabulary. Let's go beyond the basics. Here are some examples of the word we do not use regularly: frustrated, disappointed, anxious, excited, proud, jealous, embarrassed, lonely, overwhelmed, peaceful, curious, confident, worried, bored, and scared. And it's not enough to just tell them these words. We need to use them in context, in real life situations. For example, if your child is struggling to put together a puzzle, you might say, and can say you are feeling frustrated that the pieces aren't fitting. It's okay to feel that way. It can be really tricky. Or if your child accomplishes something they are proud of, you might say, wow, you seem really proud of yourself for learning to ride your bike without training wheels. You work so hard at it. By using these words in everyday conversations, you are helping your child build their emotional vocabulary and understand the nuances of different feelings. Now, understanding emotions isn't just about labeling them, it's also about understanding the connection between feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. These three things are intricately linked like a chain reaction. Let's take an example. Imagine your child friend gets a new toy that your child really wants. Your child might be feeling jealous. That feeling might lead to a thought, that's not fair, I want that toy too. And that thought might lead to a behavior, grabbing the toy from their friend or whining and complaining. See the connection? The feeling jealousy led to a thought, that's not fair, which led to a behavior, grabbing the toy. Here's another example. Imagine your child has a big test coming up at school. They might be feeling anxious. That feeling might lead to a thought, I'm going to fail. I'm not smart enough. And that thought might lead to a behavior, avoiding studying altogether because they feel overwhelmed and hopeless. By understanding these feelings, thoughts, behavior connection, we can start to see why our children behave the way they do. We can start to understand the root cause of their actions, and that allows us to respond more effectively. Instead of just reacting to the behavior, the grabbing, the whining, the avoidance, we can address the underlying feeling. We can help our children understand why they are feeling that way, and we can teach them healthier ways to cope with those feelings. And that brings us to a crucial skill, validating feelings. This is about acknowledging and accepting your child's emotion without judgment. It's about letting them know that it's okay to feel whatever they are feeling, even if you don't agree with the behavior that might result from that feeling. Validation is not about agreeing with their feeling. It's not about saying, yes, you are right. It's not fair that your friend got a new toy. It's about acknowledging and accepting the feeling itself. Let's see some examples of validating statements. It sounds like you are really feeling disappointed that we can't go to the park today because of the rain. That makes sense. I know you are really looking forward to it. Or another example could be, I can see you are worried about your presentation tomorrow. It's normal to feel a little nervous before speaking in front of others. Another example is, you seem really frustrated that your drawing isn't turning out the way you want it to. It can be tough when things don't go as planned. Notice how in each of these examples, the parents acknowledge the child's feeling without condoning any negative behavior. Now, let's look at some examples of non-validating statements and why they are unhelpful. Don't be silly, there's nothing to be scared of. This dismisses the child feeling and makes them feel like their emotions are invalid. Your overreacting is just a game. This judges the child's feeling and makes them feel like their emotions are too big or too intense. Stop crying, it's not a big deal. This invalidates the child's feeling and tell them that they shouldn't be feeling that way. Big boys don't cry. This actually shames the child. This kind of statement, even if it's well intentioned, can shut down communication and make children feel like their emotions are wrong or unacceptable. They can also damage their self esteem and make them less likely to come to you with their problems in the future. Remember, validation is not the same as condoning negative behavior. It's perfectly okay to say it's okay to feel angry, but it's not okay to hit your sister. You are acknowledging the feeling, but you are also setting a limit on the behavior. Now, in addition to understanding the worst of emotions and the connection between feelings, thoughts, and behavior, it's important to be able to read the non-verbal cues because often children, especially younger ones, express their emotions through their bodies long before they have the words to describe them. Think of yourself as an emotion detective. Pay attention to your child's facial expression, their body language, their tone of voice. These non-verbal cues, the things they aren't saying with words, can often tell you more than their words themselves. For example, if you see your child clenching their fist, their face turning red, their brow furrowed, and they are speaking loudly or even yelling, those are pretty clear signs of anger or frustration. Or the opposite, if they are slumped over, their mouth turned down, maybe they have tears in their eyes, and they are speaking very quietly or not at all. That's often a sign of sadness or disappointment. Sometimes fear or anxiety can look like wide eyes, a tense body, rapid breathing, and even a shaky voice. Or imagine your child is nervous. You will see your child avoid eye contact and constantly fidgeting. And of course, the good ones, a genuine smile, a relaxed posture, open body language, a cheerful tone of voice. Those are usually signs of happiness and contentment. Your child may be feeling embarrassed when they suddenly turn red and start avoiding eye contact. By paying attention to these non-verbal cues, you can often get a sense of what your child is feeling even before they tell you. And you can use the information to help them liberate their emotions. You might say, you seem really frustrated right now. Your fists are clenched and your face is red. Are you feeling angry? Or I notice you are biting your nails and you are not making eye contact. Are you feeling a little anxious about something? This helps them connect their physical sensations with the corresponding emotions word, building their emotional literacy. So before we move on, let's quickly recap what we've explored about understanding our kids' emotion. Remember that rich emotional vocabulary, helping them find the words for their feelings, and that powerful connection between feelings, thoughts, and behavior, understanding the why behind the actions. Then there's validation, showing them their feelings matter, even if the behavior needs to change. And finally, being that emotion detective, paying attention to those non-verbal cues. It all adds up to helping our kids and ourselves navigate those big emotions. Now, here's your call to action for this week. I want you to make a conscious effort to use a wider range of emotion words with your children. Start incorporating those words like frustrated, disappointed, anxious, excited, proud, and jealous into your video conversations. To help you with this, I've created a downloadable feelings chart that you can find in the resources section of this course. It's a simple chart with different faces showing a variety of emotions along with the corresponding emotion words. You can use this chart with your children to help them identify and express their feelings. Print it out, put it on the fridge, and make it a regular part of your conversations.